Being a teacher, particularly a relief teacher, requires you to be incredibly well organised from the minute you wake up to when you go to bed at night. So one of the ways that I've tried to help teachers is by putting together this relief teacher planning diary. Now you can use it in a variety of ways. I'll just give you some examples of how I've used it. I've included a variety of covers for you to use. Now, one of the things that you're going to need to, when you first step foot in the door, is you will need to have a resume ready, no more than 2 pages, ready to hand over to the person who is in charge of doing the bookings. That's not me, by the way, but it is a sample of the sort of thing that you will add to your teaching kit. I'll show you further on in the video a personal variation of this book that I put together. You'll need to have yourself some kind of diary, whether it be one you buy from a supermarket, $2 shop, wherever. I like this system because it is double page, easy to see, month at a time. So that if you get a booking, you can see, for instance, that maybe you are fully booked from Monday the 12th through to the 16th, write in where you are going to be working, any additional notes that you're going to need to make, put at the side, so that you've got a clear overview of where you are working throughout each term. You'll also need to set yourself up with some kind of planning timetable. This blank version here is the kind I like to work with because it gives me a brief overview of what I'll be doing for the week. Or you might like to do it a week at a time. So there's the opportunity for you to do that as well, whatever your planning and teaching style might be. If you're required to teach on a block, you may find that your planning needs to be a little bit more thorough. So a daily lesson plan divided into 3 sections like this may be more suitable for your needs. So using the resources available in my planning kit, I've put together my own personal folder that works for me. So this is me. I like to make one for each school if I'm working across a number of schools. You may find that it may need to be even more depth, and you may need to, if you're working in a larger school, you may find that you might need to make a separate folder for each class if you are going back to that class. Now, included in that, vital information that you need for each school: contact principal, phone numbers, their website, logins, all those sorts of things. Copy of their weekly timetable. Now, each class may have a different timetable, each stage may work differently. A class sheet, I've included a blank one because you may want that for your own records, but usually you can print one from the print room, or in some instances they have multiple copies of them already printed for you, ready to go. Most classes there will be students on an individual behaviour or health plan, and it's critical that you have a record of, particularly if they're medicated, little note at the bottom, what time they need to go for their medication. That is crucial, because if those kids miss their medication, you can really notice it. So the name of each student is worth for you to keep a track of. Same with individual health plans. If you're going on an excursion, you need to make sure that you have EpiPens, Phenergan, whatever it is that you need, asthma kits. Each classroom will have a different classroom agreement. This form will help you just to make some brief notes to remind you of the system that's used in there. Now, you might work in a class, I've worked in some schools where, especially in the younger grades, you'll find that if you're working over a week, you may have up to 10 different parents who come in and have different jobs when they come in. This form here will help you to keep a record of who those, because then you can address them by name, and then you can, it's all part of building relationships. You know, hi Mrs. Jones, great to have you. Are you ready to change readers today? Students love it when you know what their roles are in the class. You will need to know the names of house colours, house captains, kids who don't go to scripture, children who may be second language learners. I like to keep multiple copies of these blank forms so that I have one on hand should I need it, should I need to leave one for the teacher, or should I need one in a hurry. So here are some reminders for you. Again, a weekly overview for you to refer to. It's always, having been a classroom teacher myself for a number of years, when you had a casual on your class, it is vital that you know, that you get a note from the teacher knowing who the kids were that behaved, who the ones that maybe weren't quite so cooperative, the work that you managed to get through, anything else that happens throughout the day that you may need to follow up on your return. The classroom teachers look for this as soon as they walk back into the classroom. A little tip, if you want to go the extra yard, it is worth going to Vistaprint or a company like that and getting some cards made up with your face, your contact details, and just staple it up in the corner, or print some of these out that have those details on there for you. Computer time can be a real challenge. If you're asked to take the kids in to do reading eggs and you don't have their logins, that can be your whole session wasted, and it can be incredibly frustrating. So again, it is worth having a copy. Usually, again, most schools have a printed copy, but there's blanks included in the set if you should need them. Teacher logins are really important too. You may be given your own login when you go to a school. Each school may provide a guest login. You'll usually have to go and see the IT person to request that, or you need to go to the office to request permission to have access to Central or whatever system they're using. In addition to that, you will have your own websites. You may have a subscription to a particular site that you really love. So again, include this in your school folder so that you have all of those ready on hand. When you pick up that folder, run through the door, you can be comfortable knowing that you have everything that you need for the day. In addition to that, I used the forms that are in the planning kit to create a resource folder that goes with me to every school. The one I showed you before was one that you might like to create for specific schools. This is my go-to emergency relief folder. So included in it some tips that I often need to just go through to remember. These I like to use, kids write their name here and then fold them in half, and you can use these to put stamps or stickers as reward cards. Some strategies, a whole heap of classroom management strategies that are included in the book. I won't get them out of the folder now. This quick quiz is brilliant to use with older students. I love using it. See how well they read. You may find sometimes a class might, you know, have a attention grab like 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. You may not know what that is. So here are some fairly tried and true attention grabbers that I've included in the book. And if the school doesn't use them, you may be introducing them to something new. The other thing that you may find you're a bit short on is positive things to say to students. I like this. I like to have this to refer to, because sometimes you just feel all talked out and you can't think of the words to say. Every teacher should have some ice-breaking activities, and one that I like to use with kids is would you rather. These can be used for discussion, for writing, for just general conversation when you first meet a class. It's interesting to see what they come out with. So these are included in the pack. You may find from time to time that you're short of an activity, or that you've turned up to be on a kindergarten class and all of a sudden you're thrown on a year 5. These worksheets I keep in my emergency folder. They're a host of open-ended questions which can be used for writing, for discussion, for time fillers or extension activities, and then get kids to come together at the end and talk about them. These, you know, you can use them as an activity to have on their desk as soon as you walk in at the door for them to go on. Turn them over. So you can see there's a variety of ideas, and it gets it's nice to get to know the kids on a different level too. I love doing this one with kids, especially with little ones. They do draw themselves very wrinkly, even though they may only be 27. We all need a bit of motivation from time to time. That's teachers and students included. So these are nice to have laminated and just have them up on the wall at the start of each session. And what I've done in the past is I've printed out 4 to a page, and I've used them as reward cards or encouragement cards for students who've worked particularly well. The other thing you can do with them is when you're making up your book, just slip one of these in just to remind yourself, be awesome. We've all got a massive job. Never underestimate the enormity of the job that we do. It is a big one, and these little quotes can make the world of difference to your day. Having a variety of planning tools, templates, scaffolds, etc. is such an important part of your teaching kit. For instance, you may be doing a writing lesson, or you might be in the library. I've included some great visuals that you can use. Laminate them if you want to make them last longer. We all need a collection of planning, brainstorming, QOL charts, fishbone charts, bubble diagrams, the lot. There's a host of those for you to choose from, and the old blank word search, which is a great time filler if you really need them. Behaviour management is a vital part of our day. I like to use the traffic light system. I use these cards laminated and add names throughout the day. I love to give kids the opportunity to change their names. Or you can use these, I've seen them used with pegs with the kids' names, and they get moved up and down the chart. And this, if you're introducing this activity for the first time, will explain what the traffic light system actually is. Now, I showed you these in the last folder, but I always include a set in this my Go Everywhere folder just in case I run out of them. The note for the teacher, it is really essential you leave one of these. They so appreciate knowing what happened, and it's also for you. They back you up. Soon as kids know that teachers talk to one another, you'll find the world of difference when you go back into a class the second time around. Playground duty can very often be one of the biggest challenges of the day. There is so much that schools take for granted that you for somehow should know by osmosis what you need to do when you're on duty. You don't always have this, so some things to look for. You need to know what the out of bounds areas are. You need to have your own sun-safe kit, because you can't walk around telling kids no hat, no play, because the first child that you tell to do that, they will arc up and say, well, miss, you haven't got yours on. The other thing you need to know is rules around eating. Do the students need to sit for 10 minutes before they can go and play? All those little things. You'll find some schools have a timeout area that the teacher on duty is responsible for monitoring. So maybe first half, the longer break, say it's lunchtime, there may be kids sitting on a step, and it's up to you to monitor them and let them go. Know what the anti-bullying policies in the school, and even though we're not encouraged to use our phones, I always have my phone with me so that I can film any incidents if I need to. and I also have the school on speed dial. I have actually had time when I've had a child that's had an anaphylactic reaction after a bee sting, and I have needed to use my phone to call an ambulance. So I always take my phone with me. It's not recommended you check your Facebook or anything like that when you're out there, but as a communication tool, it is essential that you have your phone with you. And if there is an incident, it's very important that you write everything down. The school may not have an incident report form, but guess what? I've included one for you, which is very handy. Each school will have its own behaviour management plan. I'm not so keen on the raffle ticket prize box per se. I believe very much kids need to earn this. It can be hard to do on a daily basis. This classroom currency sheet, I have printed it off. This is a large version. When I use it, I print it down maybe 4 to a page, cut them out, and then students use these on, if you've got a block, this works perfectly. Students use these at the end of the day. There's a price list of things in the prize box, and they can save up their money, and it works really well. If you look at classroom currency in the classroom, these are great fun to play with, and it also, you're developing number sense as well. If you want to just use them as a tool for money in the classroom, they're great for that too. If you're anything like me, you may find yourself getting lost in the world of Pinterest, and feel happy to pinch this idea from me. What I've done is I have created a timetable across, so the first session is like literacy, numeracy, science, whoosy, and in the afternoon your creative and performing arts. And what I've done is I have linked each of the sections to my Pinterest boards. So I don't use this so much in the classroom, but if I'm planning, I find that this tool has been an absolute blessing. I've forgotten how many brilliant ideas I have pinned. There's thousands of them. One day we're going to use them all. And we all have our favourite websites. It is really important that if you have subscribed, that you have it up there and you're ready, you know your passwords and can go in. I've included for you to have a look through too a selection of some of the most popular sites that I found on the Surviving Casual Teaching group last year. So there's 4 or 5 pages I think there for you to explore. If you're new, you don't know your way around the internet, this is a really good start. So get bookmarking, downloading, however you manage to save your items on a thumb drive, on a Word document, however you can access them. Whatever works best for you, do it. Did you know it's estimated that teachers spend on average $2,000 a year on resources? I'm sure people in Kmart and Target know that we do. So it is vital, come tax time, that you have an ongoing record of all your expenses so that you can just whip this into your tax consultant, or if you do your own taxes, you have everything there ready to go. No questions asked, because teachers are one of the professions that regularly get targeted. Now that we're required to keep a record of our professional development, or we have been for a while, it's essential that you keep a record of these, and included in that is any certificates that you've been awarded. Add them to your folders, because these do not need to go to school with you everywhere. This is what I keep at home. I've included a sheet for your end of year reflection so that you can work on your strengths and weaknesses and what new strategies you're going to implement in your classroom in the upcoming term, week or year.